Well, we're gonna install a handguard today on this mid-length rifle that I have. I've had for a long time. I use it as a varmint rifle. Um, this handguard in particular is made by Guntec USA out of Scottsdale, Arizona, and we're Arizona folks, so we enjoy good products from local Arizona people. So just to kind of show you this handguard real quick. It's one of their Airlight series. Really nice key mod rail. It's got all the slots for to install key mod rails in it. So anyways, this is it. This is a 15-inch free-floating monolithic handguard. Very light, weighs 8.9 ounces with the barrel nut. So anyways, that should look pretty cool, and lighten the rifle up a little bit and cool it down and so on and so forth. So that's kind of what we're doing. So there it is, Guntec 15-inch free-floating handguard. So we'll be installing it on this rifle. Let's remove these Magpul handguards, and again, these are just like a clamshell, your factory clamshell M4 or M16 handguards. You just pull back on this delta ring and we pop them in half. There we go, just like that. There's our Magpul handguards. Those are off. So next up, we're going to go ahead and remove this A2 front sight. I've taken a upper receiver block, which is made for a vise, and we'll go ahead and set this down like this. I'm choosing not to use the vise just because mine is outside, and by using that vise, if I knocked a pin out and couldn't find it, it'd go in the gravel. So what I chose to do is go ahead and I just took this C-clamp and clamped it down, and then just put a hammer underneath the support of the barrel. You can use a piece of wood or anything like that. So what we're going to start with is we'll go ahead and take this sling loop out. So that's just you just take a smaller punch like so and drive that down. One side has a head to it. There we go. So you can see that has a head. You just kind of drive that little portion out, and then there's your sling mount. I want to go ahead and take the gas tube pin out next, and it's right there. Hopefully you can kind of see that. Let me undo this. Basically right there is a roll pin, and that holds this whole tube in. So we're going to knock that out, and then we're also going to knock these two pins out that hold the A2 front sight onto the barrel. So we'll go ahead and clamp this back down, make sure it's nice and secure, and we're going to tap that gas pin that holds the gas tube out. So I'm going to take my smallest punch that I have and take a little hammer here, get it started. Then I took this small pick, and it's real small, so just go ahead and punch it out. There it goes. It's a little itty bitty feller, so you can imagine dropping this in the gravel. You'll never find that again. So there it is there. And these two pins right here, we're going to punch those out. I did have to put PB Blaster to soak these, and I actually ended up putting this in the vise upside down, and I took this big hammer and a large punch, and I have taken a lot of these off before, and this one's by far the hardest I've ever had to do. And I'm assuming just because it's got tons of rounds through it, and I'm just assuming that it's just been heated and cooled so much that those pins are just really tough. So we're gonna go ahead and knock these out. Boom. Now notice I'm working on the left side of the rifle, left to right, because these pins are tapered. So if you drive the other way, you'll be trying to drive them for a very long time. So left side of the rifle, to the right side. There it goes. As soon as they give, they come out pretty quick. So there we have it. Okay, we'll go ahead and remove the A2 flash hider next, which is right here. And you can see there's two flat spots on your A2 flash hider. So you can use your fancy AR-15 tool, or you can use a large crescent wrench. We're going to go ahead and pop that. That wasn't too bad. And that just threads off, righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. Okay, there's your A2 and your crush washer. Okay, we'll go ahead and take this A2 front sight off now. And basically what we've got here is we've got to slide this whole tube out. Now, once you've taken these pins out, if this is giving you a hard time to come off, which this one's already broken free, and that broke free pretty easy, so now we start just walking it, just like that. Walking it right off the barrel. There you go. And this little cup is going to come with it. We just slide that out. Here's your factory A2 handguard cup. And here's your A2 front sight with the gas tube. So as you can see, those were the two pins, 1, 2, and that's the pin for the sling mount, and then that's a little tiny hole right there, that's your pin for the gas tube. So, and I kind of boogered this thing up a little bit putting it in that vise, so I've never actually had to do that, but the good news is you can touch these back up with a flat black paint, or you can use a Sharpie marker. And honestly, this rifle is fairly beat up because I take it out and it gets tossed around and stuff, so I'm not too concerned. Plus, it's never actually going on this rifle again. My next thing is I gotta get this tube out, and I'm gonna start pulling it. There it goes, popped out. So as you can see, there's your hole where it sits in the front sight, and then there's your hole that your gases go in. So there's your tube, mid-length tube. We've got our delta ring to take off next, and it goes barrel nut, delta ring, and behind it is a stamped steel spring, and then a snap ring. That snap ring sits in a groove and holds all of the spring in place. That's what gives it its spring to hold those handguards on. So I like to go ahead. I've taken this snap ring off before, or backed it up and taken tension off, but I've actually found it's not that much tension. So go ahead and use your barrel nut tool on your AR-15 Armor's tool, and we're going to go ahead and break that narrow barrel nut. So righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. There we go. Feels like. Okay, so basically I've got that, so now it's kind of just hand tight, and that's perfect. I'll take it out of the vise setup because I need to get that snap ring off. There's our Armor's tool out. Okay, so I take. Yeah, see, now this whole thing is just wanting to spin, so that's cool. All I'm going to do is spin this around and then expose your snap ring, which you can use two picks, like little picks with hooks on them. That's kind of a pain. I have a pair of snap ring pliers which work a little better, a lot better. So we're just going to put those right in there, like so. Maybe. Maybe not. Give you a smaller set of snap ring pliers. see if I can get a smaller set. Okay, last set of snap ring pliers were too small, so now we just see how we just pulled that back, took the tension off. So now this is all loose because that snap ring is now out of its groove, so there's no more tension. So we'll just take this barrel, nut off, like so, righty tighty lefty loosey, spin it off, barrel nut, delta ring. See that hole right there? There's your hole where your gas tube's got to line up. And of course your barrel nut is just going to tighten up, and then you pass the gas tube through wherever it is. It's just got to be straight. And then there's your spring, stamped steel spring. It also has a notch cut out of it for your gas tube, and your snap ring also, when it's in place, has a spot for the gas tube. So there we go. There's your upper receiver and your barrel. You can see that just slides out, and there's a notch right there that it sits in to make sure that it keeps. You can see that. So there we have it. There's your barrel. Great opportunity to clean some bad parts that you never get to clean. Alright, back at you. We're going to install the low profile gas block. Now this particular one is made by Troy, and basically just to clock it correctly and make sure that we're installing it right, you can see where your hole is supposed to line up, and then if you look inside, you can see your hole there where your gases are going to go in through your barrel, like such. So you can kind of see it sitting like that. I noticed that as I install this, the really nice thing about the old A2 style is the hole for the gas port for the barrel and the tube lining up, that actually lines up perfect because of the old drilled holes in your barrel. This one I was kind of looking at and I go, oh man, you can actually be off and not get the, you can get it as straight as possible, but I thought, man, if you're tweaked just a little bit, then theoretically you're not getting the appropriate amount of gas that's going back and driving your bolt carrier back. So what I did is, it's got 2 3/32 Allen set screws, so I just kind of lined them up here and made sure, because I got these 2 points of reference, and I made sure it was centered. And this might be kind of goofy, but basically what I did is I put compressed air on one end and blocked the end of the barrel off, and put real light compressed air. And as I started moving this thing around, you could hear it being blocked, and then all of a sudden, right when you get it perfect in line, you've got a perfect flow of air coming out. So that's how I made sure it was straight. Even though I made sure that this was on straight, I still kind of just have it snug right now, and I'm going to double check it, but I went ahead and slid our barrel nut on. So I'm going to go ahead and tighten that up. Just like that. So we made sure the barrel nut was just kind of sitting there, and then I played with the gas block, and we're going to make sure that this is torqued correctly. We're going to make sure that this is nice and snug and tight. Then we're going to install the gas tube, pin it, and then we're going to slide the handguard over, secure that, and then we'll put the flash hider on, and then we'll just finish putting the lower and all the other accessories on it. So let me tell you what happened. So I went out to the bench vise and used my good old AR upper receiver blocks, and went ahead and installed this barrel nut. So I discovered something a little interesting. So I called Guntec, and they said that they would like to see between 30 and 40 foot-pounds of torque for this barrel nut. So I was looking at it, and it's much different. It's got just these open sides on it, which is different from your standard AR barrel nut, wherever that went. So I already put it away, but here's your teeth on your standard one, so you can use your AR tool. So basically I kind of asked him, I said, well, you know, it looks like you can tighten it up with a crescent wrench, or the gentleman at Guntec actually said it was a 31 millimeter. I didn't have a metric that big, but I happened to have an 1.25" open-in box wrench right here. So I went ahead and snugged it down, and then what I did is I took my AR tool and I took my torque wrench and went ahead and, just like you traditionally do it on this side over here, you know, tighten it down. I was a little nervous about the leverage just because I'm getting a little more leverage, so I just set it exactly 30. And you know, what I did is I just hooked it on the opposite corner, just like you do like your castle nut on your buttstock. You know, and that's what this is for. So I actually put it on there and then got my little click, but it wouldn't quite line up perfect. Because see these holes? These need to line up perfect. So when this handguard slides over, you want those holes right there to line up perfect so that this is monolithic. And I kept lining it up and it wasn't perfect. And I know that they had sent a whole bunch of shims, so I took it all apart again real quick, threw on the first shim, boom, tightened down at 30 foot-pounds of torque. It was in perfectly straight line to get ready to install the nice Allen heads bolts that actually install to hold the rail on. So that's what I ran into. I went ahead and double checked my handguard and went ahead and installed the screws. Once this handrail slides over and you mount these screws to hold it in place and make it full floating, which attaches to your barrel nut, I went ahead and mocked that up and made sure it was straight and looked good. And the monolithic part is truly monolithic and straight. There is a little bit of fudge room on these holes to kind of be a little wonky with it and just make sure that it's straight. You can get it pretty darn close. I could see having those shims really helped, and I could see fighting it too if you're really spend a lot of time with it. But I know I have it torqued at about 30 pounds or better, 35 pounds, and it's in line, so that looks good. So we're going to go ahead and install the gas tube and gas block. I hadn't done one of this particular brand, which is a Troy, so it was nice for me just to play with it and do that little trick to see how it was working. But in the end, I noticed that once we slide it on here and we've got our gas tube in place and it goes into the upper receiver like so. Let's see if we can slide it in there. Once it goes in there, then once we make sure this is straight, then it's gonna work. So you can tell by following the barrel that is straight. So anyways, my little test was just kind of, you know, something for me to learn. But I went ahead, and you can still perform it again by covering this and putting compressed air on it again, and you should be able to hear your air coming back out. So nothing else, it kind of teaches you the principle of how that works. So now that that's in place, I'm going to go ahead and secure the gas tube first. No, actually I'm going to go ahead and make sure the gas block is tight, and then we'll do the tube because it's going to move on me. So again, we'll just double check that. I just blew down the barrel and that looks great. So again, 3:30 seconds. We're going to go ahead and make sure that this is tight and in place. Okay, nice and tight. And then I'm going to get ready to put that pin in the gas tube. So I feel like a watchmaker. Got my little ball peen. I just held this pin, this roll pin, with these needle nose pliers, and I just held it in place like so, and it went ahead and just tapped right in, and I got it started. So we'll go ahead and secure it. I'm going to use my ball peen. There, make sure that that is flush with the gas block. Bada bing. Okay, we are so very close. Barrel nut is torqued. We have set the gas tube in place. We have put the roll pin in. I've double checked and made sure that the gas block is tight, and I went ahead and made sure that once these two ports are blocked, put air through it. I can hear ample air coming through the gas tube, and also just again, I'm just making sure and looking at it and seeing that that gas tube is straight, which to my naked eye it looks absolutely perfectly straight with the barrel. So we're going to lay this here, and we're ready to install the handguard, and that's really simple. We just slide it on over like so. Then we're just going to take these T25 set screws and we're going to run those down, and I just got a little ratchet set out with a torque T25 torque head. You can also use like your little Allen wrenches that, you know, they make torques that are like that as well, just little wrenches. So I'm just going to buzz all those. There's 6 of these. I'll install all 6. Whoop. That's why I wasn't doing this out on my where my bench vise is, because it's on my welding table, and I knew that if I dropped one in the gravel I'd probably never find it again, so they didn't have a torque spec on here, so I'm just gonna guesstimate. Kind of like torquing down the lug nuts on a car. I'm going to just kind of walk through them just a little snug at a time. Make sure I'm liking how my rail is fitting with the A3, which it is absolutely perfect. So that's going to be real nice. Oh man. Okay. Got that nice and tight. Lay this back. We'll go ahead and put this A2 flash hider. Maybe down the road I need to put a nicer looking flash hider. That would upgrade this quite a bit. I've got some on some other ones, but okay, I'm gonna go run that out to the vise. Alright, went ahead and tightened down the A2. There's the upper receiver all put together. I'm going to go ahead and finish putting this rifle back together real quick. I'm going to drop our bolt carrier group in. Let's put on our lower receiver. There we go. She's a beaut, Clark. Guntec full floating 15-inch handguard. That is really solid, super nice. That'll lighten that rifle up quite a bit. Hope you enjoyed the video. Hopefully we'll have some other videos for you down the road. Lots of AR stuff out there, so enjoy.